Hello all. Just give me a couple more minutes. I am currently setting up. So I just gotta, hello all. Just
First
give
of
me
all, I
a
gotta
couple more
disable that.
minutes. I am sorry about that. I keep forgetting to mute the other stream because I keep the stream running so I can see it, so I can see if everything's on stage and stuff. And I know I can do that in OBS, but I don't. Just give me a couple more minutes. Okay, get my music up and running. Alright, folks. So, today, well, first of all, I've got chat up and going, although I accidentally had the capture window up so that my Steam chat was caught for a little bit. Alright, so, let's kind of do a brief update of what I've done so far. Let's get all our equipment out. There's the screen. That is a newish, but still nonetheless kind of broken screen. There is the power cable. Sorry, I guess I don't quite know how this chat quite works or the window capture works, but soon it should be updated. The video cable that I made last time, the Raspberry Pi, and the battery. There is the box for the new keyboard that is going in. Alright, just 1 second, I'm gonna update something on OBS. Sorry about all the growing pains. This is, I'm really quite new to this. I will get used to it in a bit. Alright, so here we have the keyboard, the new keyboard, and we kind of shortened the cable for it last time. There's the heat shrink for it. This keyboard cable used to be way longer than it is right now. So here is what I'm going to be doing today. We're making a new faceplate for the Write-O-Tron. By new, I don't actually mean we're making the faceplate completely. We are making a mock-up of the faceplate. The faceplate is this wooden part. This is actually where, this is what the keyboard, the touchpad, and the screen, and the USB port, and the switch, all of that is actually attached to this. So I'm making a mock-up of that today. So part of that is going to be taking measurements of this, but a lot of it is going to be taking measurements of my components, cutting out a cardboard like representation of the faceplate, and then kind of just like through trial by fire, move the faceplate around and or move the components around and see if everything is actually, you know, working. Alright, sorry, I'm still kind of figuring out how to get this chat incorporated. I mean, I know how it works, but I keep minimizing the window so that it says chat is active, but I'm trying to actually get the chat to appear on the side. Luckily, nobody's chatted anything yet. Okay, so yeah, we're making a new faceplate, or we're making a template for the faceplate. So the first time I broadcasted, I took this thing apart and broke it, and then I fixed it, you know, and then I kept breaking components and then fixing them as I kept going. This time I'm going to be a little bit safer. I'm not going to be using the actual new parts to make the new Write-O-Tron. I'm actually going to be using broken ones so that I don't harm the parts as I'm assembling the box, which is something that I frequently did. So let's first of all get everything all set up. I'm going to show you what I have so far, which is the guts of the Write-O-Tron, including this battery. Last time, if you might recall, the Write-O-Tron would not turn on when I had the Raspberry Pi plugged in. It would turn on when I plugged the the chip in, which is another, you know, competitor to the Raspberry Pi, which is probably a little bit better. Alright, so let's get the screen out. Now the reason it wouldn't run is because the power cable was doing a very strange flickering thing that I could not control or understand. Now the reason, I did actually eventually figure out what the problem was. Get all that stuff out of the way. I like to pack and repack things probably more than I should. Alright, so here are all our components. So here's what happened. The micro USB cord right here, when I plugged it into the chip, which is another Raspberry Pi style computer, it was actually shifted a little bit because the video cable actually pressed against it, and that actually bent the port here. But luckily, all I had to do was to bend it back was just pinch it a little bit. So now when I plug it into the Raspberry Pi, or let's hope that that's the case, it will actually power. It will not be loose. There will not be issues, as far as I know. So let's get the keyboard out, plug in the power. Here is the screen power and video input. Power up the screen like this, and then plug the keyboard into the Raspberry Pi. The cord is now so short that I have to move the keyboard key around. So let's see, and then finally attach the video cable. This is the cable that sends the video signal to the screen. This is what I shortened. It was previously very, very long and also had 3 prongs for left, right, and video. I just took out the left and the right audio and only had the red video. It's supposed to be yellow video, but it's like the Raspberry Pi's got a British standard, so the prong is on a different thing. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Here we go. Let's start it all up. There we go. It's actually working this time on camera. Would you look at that? Can anyone let me know if my voice is adequate over the opera music? Alright, so it's now starting. And we've got LibreOffice. We've got a working touchpad. The Write-O-Tron, of course, as it currently exists, boots into LibreOffice. So, hello, Twitch. I can see that I maybe need to adjust this font a bit. Alt V, Alt Z, Z, and then let's put that variable font up to, I don't know, 175%. There we go. Much more viewable. Hello Twitch, this is Giando. Welcome to another day. Oops. Music is a little loud. Let me fix that. And of course, by fixing it, I now have to put a weird-ass video onto my stream. Okay. So let's go back. Here, all the guts of the Write-O-Tron all turned on. Welcome to another day of building the Write-O-Tron. There we go. And then, of course, to test out all 26 keys, or all 26 letters of the alphabet, I write, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. I believe that's the sentence the graphics designers use to test out type fonts. Okay, so alright, so that's all the guts. We're going to put this keyboard we're going to put this battery, Raspberry Pi, operating system, not exactly this screen, but very similar to this screen, inside the Write-O-Tron. And so today we're going to be making the faceplate that the screen, the keyboard, and the switch, which I don't have out right now, will screw into. Sorry that my chat keeps disappearing. I really gotta learn to just leave things alone. Okay, so let's get this powered off. Let's do a soft shutdown. We don't need any files. System, shut down. Alright, how is the music now? I think I might have turned it down a little bit too much. Alright, so unplug that. So protect the Raspberry Pi from static shock. There, I turned it up a bit. I mean, the thing about this Creative Commons, like, music, is that it really varies in intensity. Sometimes we have just freaking absolutely thunderous opera, and sometimes we got, you know, little tiny, or I'm sorry, very soft sonatas. And then, of course, my Steam chat is also a bit thunderous right now. Okay. I'm just kind of putting everything back into its sleeve so it's all protected. Getting the keyboard out of the way. So now, gonna need the old Write-O-Tron. Get the battery out of the way. Here's the power switch, which is one of the most important components we're using today. Keyboard template, which I kind of cut out from a previous keyboard. Mouse and touchpad template. Of course, many different razor blades. And some cardboard and, well, graph paper for drawing up actual plans. Cardboard. Also got a metal ass ruler. There we go. Static Shock builds character. Maybe for humans, but probably not for computers. I think it just, you know, destroys them. Alright, so. Oh, I probably should have gotten the power cable out because that's another crucial component. So, I'm not very organized, so maybe it looks organized on my little mat that I'm building all this on, but I ain't, I promise. I'm gonna need the power cord too. So basically, here's what's going on. Here's the Write-O-Tron. There's the switch. So see how far it is from the edge? The reason for that is because this is actually what the switch PCB looks like. It's kind of beefy, but there it is. Here, let's take apart these cables. There's the switch PCB. It's under there. And there's all this space right here. And the reason there's all this space is because there's a power cord that is actually snaking around this USB port and connecting in like that. And the reason I'm doing it that way is so that the power cable does not go up and down Because if it does, then the micro USB cable here will snap, and then we'll have all sorts of problems. So I'm basically, since the original Write-O-Tron did not have a screen this big, it was a smaller screen about from here to there or so. The screen was moved a little bit further in. The power quote, the switch for it does not to be this far in from the left. Okay, so since this power cord has got like a thicker, sorry. Ooh, it doesn't really want to go in there very much. So this power cord's got a thicker cable right there. See how it bends? That's kind of why it's like this. I'm just gonna kind of keep this PCB separated until like the very last moment when I'm going to measure it. I'm also going to put the keyboard like a little bit further up, just a tiny bit, because these screws that are holding it down, oops, let me move it up on my stream so you can see it. These screws that are holding it down, they don't actually um, they could use, it could stand to be like have a little bit more space. Like it's kind of like cut off so that there's just like a little notch basically, and then these screws are kind of barely holding down the notch instead of actually going through a hole, which is what I want. And so does your mom. Anyway. I'm also not going to be having this SD card reader at all. No SD card, entirely USB, and nothing else. I'm going to have 2 USB ports though. We also need to keep in mind that we need to make room for this push button switch. The push button switch, as I've demonstrated before, I didn't demonstrate when I first turned it on, which I should have. It deactivates the screen. It's the power for the screen, and when you press it down, the power for the screen shuts off. That way you can close the lid like a laptop, and it will actually power off the screen and then conserve battery power, and you can store it and come back to it like a couple hours later, and it won't have used very much battery power. So let's get started. First, here are these lovely blueprints I drew up last time. 9-inch box wide on the outside, 7-inch box for deep on the inside, but I'm out on the side, that is. But on the inside, things are different. So we got 6.5 inches by 8.5 inches. So, using my ruler and pencil and what have you, first all my shit's gonna be knocked off. We're gonna make that template. Here's cardboard from, I don't know, I think it was a book shipment. I believe the book that came in the mail was Jam by Yahtzee Croshaw. Jam! So let's measure out, I don't know, first let's trim it down so it's not so freaking huge. By the way, I'm totally flying by the seat of my pants right now. I have no idea how this is going to go, how long it's going to take, or anything. I did not write down the process by which I did it the first time, so you know about as much as I do at this point, except for the fact that I'm the one who actually built the thing in the first place. Alright, so that's good. So this needs to be 8.5 inches wide. Pencil. And I'm gonna start from this flap here. So let me use my ruler. There we go. Start off straight. Alright, 8.5 right there. And then 8.5 on the other side too. So I'm going to go from 8.5 on this end to there. Alright, now I'm just going to connect the two dots. Alright, 8.5 inches wide. It wasn't exactly precise, but, you know, as I said, this is more art than science. I know they say measure twice, cut once, but nothing. No excuse. Alright, so this is not 8.5 inches wide. What am I thinking? Alright, maybe this is. Yeah, that is over there, 8.5 inches wide. So we need 6.5 inches deep now. Let's actually check the other side. Is that 8.5 inches, or is it a little bit less or more? It's a little tiny bit less, but you know, whatever. Six and a half inches deep. So there's 6.5 inches there.
Erlauben Sie, dass ich wohl gehalten, Sie und Sie.
It looks so small, this panel that I'm making. Alright, so just to be clear, 6.5 inches there, 8.5 inches there. Alright, we've measured twice-ish, time to cut once-ish. Alright, so there we have our mock face panel. It looks so small compared to how the Write-O-Tron one is. But I bet you if we open up the box, which is the new Write-O-Tron, it will fit more or less snugly inside. Alright, it's off by a little bit, but it's better to be off by more than it is to be off by less. So I just gotta trim off a little bit here. Very enthusiastic opera singers. Let's see. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And then I'm going to use the ruler to cut it. There we go. So this right here is this is a broken keyboard from a previous Write-O-Tron build. This is what I'm going to be using. I'm going to basically tape this to this cardboard faceplate once I'm done with it, instead of the new keyboard, because it's so breakable. It breaks so freaking easy that hold on, move my light a little bit. It breaks just so easy that I do not want to risk the new keyboard. The previous Write-O-Tron went through 5 fucking keyboards. 5. There we go. Trim that bit off. Trim this bit off. I know how exciting this is. I know it. I can just feel the rush. Alright, so I trimmed it a little bit. Let's see how it fits in the new box. So close. Just need to trim it a little tiny bit more on this end. By the way, these are struts that I use my Dremel tool to build. This is another kind of bottom insertion that I use my Dremel tool to cut, because I'm not going to I'm not going to record or live stream my Dremel work. That would be really stupid. Alright.
Saperment ist nicht man kriegt dich nicht herum. Sag doch frei, also ich wäre wohl nichts für dich.
BP1, yes, that is the name. British Petroleum 1. I dubbed the British Petroleum 1. You and your damn oil spill. Alright, I just need to trim off a little bit more from this end.
Alle Achtung, ich dank dir schön für diese Abfuhr so fein.
Sorry, I was trying to make the webcam a little bit brighter, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Alle Achtung, ein Bauernkind, das so vernünftig denkt.
I don't know what that was, like what that really was in German, but it sounded in English like, I'm an artist, I'm an artist, I'm an artist. That's how I feel all the time. I'm an artist, you guys. I'm a real artist, okay? Give me monies. It's time to get all harpsichord in here. There we go. If this doesn't fit in, I don't know. I don't know what I would do, you guys. Just might be over. And it doesn't fit in. Not quite. It's true. BP1 had nothing to do with oil spills. I'm sorry, BP1. I'm sorry I accused you of having any affiliation with oil companies, large or small, British or American. I should talk louder. I should talk like I would talk at work because I'm separated by glass in front of everyone. Okay, BP1 I think has been trimmed enough, but then again that's what I thought last time. And there we go. It now fits in. Oh fuck, no it doesn't. But you know what? That last little corner, who needs it? Yeah. Probably trimmed it too much this time, but you know. Yeah, I trimmed it a bit too much, but it still fits-ish. Alright, so now what we're going to do, take BP1. Here's the keyboard template. This basically is literally the rubber thing that this keyboard used to fit into. So as you can see, it fits perfectly. Yeah, my ruler's it's not seeming to get accurate measurements. Okay, let's see. There we go. I drew using some stencil, or at least this thing. I carved a little hole where the keyboard is going to go, right on BP1. So this is a mock faceplate. I can already tell that this is going to give like more room for the screws. If we compare that to the previous Write-O-Tron, this is actually narrower over here. It's also a little bit narrower here and on the side because I used hand carved tools. I just freaking winged it the whole time and just kept widening it and then reinserting the keyboard and widening it and reinserting the keyboard. This time I'm using a template, so it should be more or less exact. Alright, so the next template we're going to use, unfortunately, Mr. BP1 is about to lose its name, because this is where the mouse and touchpad goes. The lady in the opera sounds so affronted.
Du hast's gemacht.
Alright, so there's the little touchpad, which I actually could and probably will make a little bit wider. And there are the mouse buttons. So I'm going to chop this out, and then I'm going to use another broken touch, or actually this is not a broken touchpad, but it is a touchpad from a previous Write-O-Tron, because I went through, as I said, 5 fucking keyboards. I'm going to, actually let's trace this guy out instead. And let's make it a little bit wider. All right. This ruler was made by a robot and had no flaws. I can't fault that. Robots are perfect in every way. Alright, so now we have traces for, it's kind of hard to see this pencil. They're all adjusted like this. Here is the keyboard. There's the touchpad, although I'm going to like make it a little bit more narrow so that it actually can fit on the side. And then there's the mouse buttons. These guys, so I'll show you on the other Write-O-Tron. I'm making new mouse buttons just like I'm making old, you know, or like instead of using the ones that actually came with the last Write-O-Tron. Oh, I don't have any. I think I threw them all away. But they were plastic. They were just pieces of shit mouse buttons. I'm gonna be making wooden ones. So it's not gonna be exactly this square shape, but let's like kind of split the difference here. Let's make this narrow here. Narrow there. Narrow there. Okay. Oh, the chat delay is not long. It's just that I am not looking at the chat all the time. But yeah, the template is not made by a robot. It's made by me. I guess you could say Geondroid is a robot, but you know, I'm not Geondroid. Geondroid is someone else. I just stole his identity. Alright, so no. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to erase the lines, the extra confusing parts of the lines. Yeah, I get it. Yep, I didn't understand. Sorry. Alright, let's see. Alright, so this is the... Okay, so now I'm going to start cutting out the, well, just about everything. Actually, no. Hold on. So, next part is... the screen. So this is going to be a little bit more delicate. It's also going to be off-center. The reason being, I want to give some room to the touchpad. Or I guess I could, you know what, I can move this touchpad over a little bit. I wanted it to be like a little bit moved over so that the screws, like when I put the screws holes in, it won't break it. Alright, so we'll take the new touchpad. Or there kind of isn't room for this. But alright. So I sort of moved the touchpad over a little bit. Maybe not as much as I probably should have. Okay. So now when I put the screen here, let's see. See, it's a little bit off-center, but you know what? It kind of was off-center on the original Write-O-Tron. I think I'll live with it. Because this, so I'm going to draw a border around the screen to indicate where the screen is. Okay, so there's the screen. It's also like a little bit off center, or like it's not perfectly aligned. So see how the screen is not really completely parallel with the keyboard. But again, I'm gonna live with that. Alright, so the next thing is the switch. So the switch partly goes under the screen. So like this is the actual bit that kind of, let's see. So I'm aligning like the actual this plastic casing with these pins. I'm also going to take some measurements. But yeah, like this switch is going to be a little bit under the screen because all that's under the screen is like the ribbon cable right here, and there's totally some room for the ribbon cable to wrap around the USB port. Not completely safe, but whatever. Alright, so next up, there's the power cable. So I'm basically pretending the power cable is in the faceplate, and see how this actual, like, the plug of the cable goes a little bit off the edge of the faceplate. I don't quite like that so much. I wish it were a little bit further in, like this. But I don't think I can actually do that. Let's see. I can assume that the screen is not going to actually go exactly where I traced it, and in fact, some things can go underneath it. So I'm just going to kind of like narrow it. Alright, so now let's take some measurements. Let's see. Damn. So here's what's happening right now. The place where I drew the screen is a little bit to the left, my left that is, of where it was on the original Write-O-Tron. And the reason for that is because the touchpad is a little bit to the left of where it was on the Write-O-Tron. So I'm going to just erase the touchpad again and then draw the touchpad a little bit more to the right. So that just like how it was in the original, it's just so very narrow on the edge and therefore like a little bit breakable. That way I can move the screen further in. Okay. Alright, so now let's see where the switch goes. Where the hell did I put it? Oh, it's on the other end. It's on the end. There we go. Now the switch has got a little bit more room. It can kind of bump up against the screen a little tiny bit. And there's a little bit more room for the power cable. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is trimming off some of this housing so that the cable can flex a little bit. Okay. Looks like this switch is exactly... Let's see. It's 3 inches tall. And 5/8 of an inch wide. So I'm going to write that here. Alright, so I'm going to create a 3 inches by 5/8 inches, or like a little bit less than that, square hole with a little, kind of L-shaped thing allowing the wires to come through. Two, 3, 4, 5/8 of an inch. And then 1, 5. Okay, so there you go. So I drew up a little box kind of mocking the switch. As you can see, it's not too far off. Maybe it's a little bit larger than it probably should be, but I'm going to narrow it down. The reason I'm making it more narrow is because the switch has got like a lip on it right there. So when I pop it in, it'll like click in, and then like these little flexible bits will hold it in. This goop, all the way, is Gorilla Glue that I put in there to strengthen the connection so it doesn't snap off, because I've snapped several switches accidentally. Alright, and then I'm just going to, let's see, the very edge of the switch, make a little box for the wires. And then I'm going to draw another little slit up here. I don't have to measure this, but this is for the wires coming out and then going back in. I'll show you how it looks on the original Write-O-Tron. There we go. So see how I've got my L-shaped hole here. The wires come out and then they snake over this little wooden bit, and then they come back inside These wires basically send GPIO signals to the Raspberry Pi, telling it to shut off. Alright, so let's see. So when I put the switch as I drew it, I've still got a little bit more space. I've got a little space for the power cable to sit in there. It doesn't curve very well, but like I said, I'm going to trim off a bit of this right here because I don't want it to break. Even though I know breakable is more suspenseful, it's also very expensive. Alright, so next up, I'm going to draw where I'm going to put the USB ports. So the previous Write-O-Tron had one USB port. This one's going to have two and no SD card reader. So here is a USB extender. That is how I got the USB port, which is outside the faceplate, to attach, let's see, so that, like, you know, you could plug in the USB here and then it would connect to the Raspberry Pi. So I'm just going to open this guy up real quick. It's never a good idea when you can't immediately find your knife. Alright, so I'm just going to make it very simple. I'm going to outline this port right here. There we go. So see how I've got like a sort of mock-up USB port. I could measure it, but I just don't really kind of want to. Alright, so and then I'm going to make another one right here. Music finished just in time to show off my USB port drawing. So here's what we've drawn so far. Screen, touchpad, mouse buttons. These, okay, this right here is going to be more of a work in process. Keyboard, switch, and then like the wire hole for the switch, and then two USB ports. And I am just going to kind of cross my fingers and pray that the USB port does not get in the way of the switch. I'm just going to, you know, take it on faith and hope that that doesn't fucking happen. Because if it did, I would be really kind of mad. Alright, I'm going to move this USB port a little closer in. These kind of like aren't vertically aligned at all, but nothing a little eyeballing can't fix. Alright, so finally, here is where I run into a space issue. Here's the Write-O-Tron 1 again. There are the buttons right there that control the screen, like it controls brightness, contrast, resolution. I think they're kind of important buttons. I think what I might end up doing is moving them away from the faceplate and moving them to the side, like the bottom, right here. Notice all I've got right here right now is the port, the charge port. Oh. So instead what's going to go there, I'm sorry, I'm having some trouble navigating my train of thought because I've got so many things going on. I'm constantly checking the feed to look like it's to make sure that it's still going, and I'm checking the chat to see if anyone said anything new. This right here, this is the, as I've said before, the power button for the screen, so that when I close the lid for this, the screen goes to sleep. I'm going to put this here instead of the 3 buttons. And the 3 buttons, I honestly just don't know where those are going to go. I'll have to figure that out on the fly. So let's just trace a little. Let's put this guy in the corner up here. Okay. So now we have the switch to USB ports, and power screen switch, the button for this screen, to USB ports, switch, keyboard, screen, touchpad, mouse buttons. I'm gonna erase those mouse buttons because I don't like where they're at. We're gonna be moving the touchpad further to the right, so let's move the mouse buttons further to the right. I'm almost running out of eraser here. Oh man, someone's trying to influence me to play shuffleboard. I don't know if I can do that, you guys. Whew, okay, so I think I'm kind of more or less happy with how this all works out. So let's compare the new mock-up faceplate with the old actual faceplate. Mostly the same. So we've got touchpad on the top right corner. That's where the BP1 is, which will be savagely cut away. And then the mouse buttons are just underneath it. That, much like they were before, see how they're made of wood? I'm going to be carving those out of wood. They're not going to be this perfect, square shape. Screen has shifted a little bit to the right. Somehow. I think that's just because, on the actual Write-O-Tron, the screen is actually overlapping the touchpad a little bit, and I'm not going to be doing that for the new one. Switch is bumping right next to the screen, and there is just no freaking room. And that's just how it is on the new one. And here is where everything's different. Notice how the USB port on the original Write-O-Tron is on the same level, sort of, as the switch. And actually, the power cord for the Write-O-Tron wraps around that USB port underneath here. So now, instead, there's the USB port's moved up. So the USB port here is shifted up, and this SD card reader is gone. I'm not going to be having one. Sorry, let me move this up. It just occurred to me that the entire Write-O-Tron was not in the broadcast when I was doing my little instruction. So yeah, so USB port's been moved up. SD card's going to be gone. These controls for the screen are also going to be gone. And 2 USB ports now. And yeah, so everything is, you know, mostly the same except a little bit different. Alright, now I'm going to start cutting this thing up. I think this is that composer that purposely used incorrect sounding notes. I'm not sure if that's true though. This cardboard's thick, man. And that knife, it just does not want to follow my ruler. It just does not. No. Is that blood? I think I've got blood on my hand. I'm telling you, I'm always finding scars and marks and blood on my left hand. But, you know, the left hand is, of course, evil. So, you know, it's okay. I get to say left hands are evil because I have a left hand. BP1 is going to put up a fight, but I am going to end that fight. And I'm going to end it with this very knife I hold in my hands. Come on, BP1. You can do this. Alright, that little bit's popped out. Nope. I know you don't want to be cut, BP1, but think of this. You were already cut before, by Powell's City of Books. I'm telling you, this is that composer. He's using like wrong notes and stuff to kind of like make you all weird. Does it not sound like it's incorrect? Alright, so I've cut out the keyboard hole. I can try to make that into an innuendo, but I won't. There we go. Keyboard fits right through the keyboard hole. Alright, BP1, it's time to cut out your name. That was my PSP that I just dropped. Great. Well, how about this? How about I name this cardboard faceplate Hole, where previously it was spelled BP1. Now it just says Hole. So it's sort of like the artist formerly known as Prince. But now it's Hole, where BP1 was previously written. Maybe this blade is going dull, and that's why it's changing directions all the time. There it is, BP1, gone. Gone but not forgotten. So let's grab one of the previous touchpads. It's around here somewhere. In my god-awful disorganized workspace. Alright, let's just get another one. So there's still room for the touchpad. And there it is. we go. Alright, now I'm going to cut open the hole. I don't think I'm going to cut open the hole for the mouse buttons just yet, because I'm going to be making new mouse buttons, but I will cut open the hole for the switch. Alright, so I cut out a hole for the switch. Let's see if the switch fits. There we go. Took a little bit of effort, but the switch is in. Sweet. Alright, I'm going to cut out the little hole for the wires, and then the other little hole for the wires. Just making all these holes. Alright, who is that face palming there? I can only think okay, who could be face palming? I was thinking maybe Liam Neeson. Is it maybe Christopher Hitchens or something? I need to know who is the owner of that face palm. Alright, hole where BP1 was previously written. You're giving me a hard time here. Alright, so one of the holes for the cable is cut. Okay, so now the two holes are cut. Let's see how the switch fits. There we go. So little pins for the switch fit in there. Now let's grab one of these. This is the two GPIO pins. There you go. You can see how those wires are going to thread through. Just like on the original. just like that. Alright, so let's take this guy out. Okay, next up. USB ports. Alright, USB Mark II. They need to make a Raspberry Pi 3 that has USB 3. That would be sweet, because I just transferred like an entire contents of a hard drive over my USB port today in like an hour. It was great. You know, the contents of an entire laptop that had, you know, crashed. And the USB 3.0 port transferred it in an hour. Since one of the projects I'm going to make is a Raspberry Pi server, a Raspberry Pi BitTorrent sync server, that would be really handy. Since the Raspberry Pi would control a hard drive, and let's see, sorry, the Raspberry Pi would control a hard drive and would be like constantly on, and you know, loading files. You know, BitTorrent sync is like it's sort of like Dropbox, except all of the folders belong to you. In the case of Dropbox, like when you upload stuff to Dropbox, you're uploading to Dropbox's servers, but BitTorrent sync actually lets you keep the files yourself. You're basically torrenting all your shit to each other. What am I making? I am making a Write-O-Tron. Let me show you what that is. So this is the cardboard faceplate for this computer. This is a Raspberry Pi word processor I made called the Write-O-Tron. And it's got like, let's see, a touchpad, mouse buttons, keyboard, USB port. It's got an SD card reader, but the new one will not. And right now I'm making up a faceplate for the new one that I'm building. So I've got all the materials, you know, for a new one. I've even got the guts and stuff like that. But this is the old one. There's a link on my Twitch channel, like it says, like the, you know, the original video. If you click on that, that'll go to my YouTube original video of when I first showcased this thing and how it all worked. That was when it had a smaller screen than it does now. But yeah, basically I'm making a mock-up of it. Okay, so let's put the old Write-O-Tron away once again and start cutting up our faceplate. So hopefully that answered your question, Pepe. Let's see. Awesome. I'm glad you like it. I'm going to be making more of these and selling them, but let's see how fast the making of this one goes. Alright, so what do we got now? We've got our two USB ports cut out. We've got our switch, touchpad, mouse buttons, keyboard, and then, you know, this is the keyboard right here. It fits right through. Here's the old touchpad. That fits right through. And I might as well cut out those mouse buttons so at least I know where they are. Then there's the screen. I'm not cutting that out. What I am cutting is a slit for the ribbon cable, so I need to find out where that screen is. Alright, so there's the screen. Put it on the template where it previously was, and then just kind of like mark where the ribbon cable goes in, which is right there. So just going to cut out like a little slit so the ribbon cable can fit through. First of all, let's see all this fits. Let's grab a new box. There's the new box. There we go. So, you know, if you kind of imagine where the keyboard is and where the touchpad is, it really looks quite the same. Except it'll have, you know, that, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting thing that I didn't even foresee. The strut right here is right in the way of the button that I drew. So I'm going to have to move this button over here. So it's a good thing I've visualized beforehand. Alright, so I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and I'm going to change this blade because this blade is covered in black. I think it's probably JB Weld. So obviously you can't cut when your blade is covered in JB Weld that's already hardened. So let me get some. There you go. Replacement X-Acto blades. Always have a pack of these around. I just generally have a lot of blades around. Okay. Alright, so now I can more precisely cut. So I'm going to kind of like cut. I don't need to be precise here. I don't need to have a ruler to cut the mouse buttons out. Thanks for following, Pepe. I don't have a Twitch notification set up. I just got an email, and then it went to my Pebble. One of these days I'll set up Twitch notifications, but it takes a very long time. And it's a freaking miracle that I even have the chat in there now. And that I haven't dismissed it 30 times. Cool. Alright, so... Alright, now I'm just going to cut out the hole for this screen button. Alright, now the slit for the screen. Once I get this little bit popped out, then I'll be able to actually start putting the parts in and basically treat this like a new faceplate. There we go. So now let's thread the screen, a ribbon cable through. There we go. So the screen now attaches like that. And let's see, where did the control board go, the driver board go? Sorry, bear with me for a second, folks. I'm looking for the driver board for the screen, which I unattached. I disattached from the screen so that I could use the screen as a tracer. Oh, there it is. There we go. So now let's put the driver board there. Clip the ribbon cable in. Alright, cool. I'm going to tape it down with masking tape. When you're taping stuff to cardboard, masking tape really is the best tape. Alright. I'm taping the ribbon down, then I'm going to tape the actual board. And then I'm going to tape that cable down. Notice how there's already masking tape on there. That's because I've resoldered those wires 30 times and I don't want them to break again. But they will, of course. There we go. Now our screen, oh whoops. Okay, maybe it isn't actually. But our screen is, you know, sort of more or less fastened to the cardboard. Although I have noticed I did not give very much room to the switch, so I'm gonna undo a lot of this tape, undo that tape, undo that tape. Cool. Move the screen over and redo the tape. I'm backing it away from the switch because I don't want to. I want to give the switch as much room as I can because it's really freaking breakable. And since it's just, the switch is just made by a guy. It's just made by some guy, and he runs this website called Mouseberry Circuits, and he just freaking makes them all day long and sells them. And so you can imagine how long it takes to get them. It takes a long time. Okay, so screen's in place. Let's get the touchpad in place. Okay. There we go. So now touchpad's in place. Keyboard, and like I said, this is not going to be the keyboard. This is a broken keyboard. This is actually the very first original keyboard for the very first prototype of the Write-O-Tron, but it broke long ago because it's extremely fragile. BP1, it's returned. I shall keep it here as our mascot. Here, let's actually there, so we got one of the mouse buttonholes cut open, but yeah, whatever. Next up, let's secure the switch. And then blue on the left, white on the right. Quite a lot like threading a needle. There we go. So keyboard's in place, screen's in place, touchpad's in place. You can kind of see how it's all starting to come together. Shoot. Alright, so this is the USB extender cable. I'm going to start cutting it because I need to put it on the cardboard now. Kind of removing the house. Hello, Sniggle Vans. How's it going? Okay. Ah, shit. The keyboard fell through. See, I said that masking tape was superior when fastening things to cardboard, but I was clearly lying. BP1 here is clearly putting up a bit of a fight. That bastard. Let's secure this keyboard. I mean, the keyboard I don't care about. The cardboard I do care about. The cardboard is our template. We fucking need that. Because I'm going to be tracing the cardboard onto wood. And wood, you don't get to just... It's not... Wood is more expensive. I'm using a Sheena block, and those are like $9 a piece for each of these. Alright, so I got one of the USB ports in. Here's the other USB extender cable. Bought from my formerly local electronics store, which is now defunct. That's right, BP1. BP1's fucking up my shit. BP1 does not want me to succeed. Let's show BP1 how I feel about succeeding. I feel good about succeeding. Urgh. So, I'm inserting my electronics in now. I know that's what she said, but I'm just going to ignore it. Now, next up, where's my power cable that I spent so long on? Okay. Alright, finally, the power cord and the push button switch is coming through. So, let's kind of unscrew it because it actually is unscrewable. Ugh. The build seems to be going fine, Sniggle Vans. Notice how I've got a mock-up faceplate. Alright, guys. So here it is. Here is a mock-up of what the Write-O-Tron Mark II is going to look like once it's in the new box. So let's actually get the new box. Alright, so if we can imagine that there's a Raspberry Pi and a power source and all of that shit in here, let's start inserting all of these cables. So these gigantic cables, which you probably didn't see before, these are the USB cables, and I'm going to be shortening them drastically so that they all fit in here. There we go, screen, cables, and all of that shit. And then there's the USB port. Alright, so I was gonna kind of flatten this so that the cardboard was flush, but the USB cables are huge. They're very long, and they're preventing me from flattening it. So let's just kind of leave this right here. And I'm going to say that this cardboard mock-up seems to be going pretty well, but let's see how all of this electronics works once the Write-O-Tron is all together. And now that I'm seeing it here, I think there is place for that control board for the screen over here, if I'm correct. Yep, there totally is. So we have all the room we need for the Write-O-Tron Mark II. So here's our push button switch for the screen, here's our 2 USB ports, our switch, keyboard, touchpad, mouse buttons, and screen. So my camera is kind of figuring out where my hand is going about all of that, and kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing and all that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it for now. I don't know. We got a mock-up made of what the faceplate is gonna look like. I think off camera I am going to actually cut this faceplate, out of wood. Let me show you the wood I'm using. There's the wood. It's called a Sheena block. It's for printing, actually, and I got it from a university bookstore. It's pretty thick. That's a 1/4 inch thick right there. It's exactly the same one that I use for the Write-O-Tron Mark I. So I'm going to be basically taking this template that I just made, putting it on here, and then doing the same like pencil outline that I did before, and then using my Dremel tool to get it all together. So for now, I think I'm going to say toodaloo, and I'll see you guys next Thursday. So my streams, I think it's best when I start at 6 o'clock p.m. or so, because that's, I think, when more people have time. But yeah, so for now I'm just going to kind of leave things for now and say see you next time. Bye, all.